had my dream. Fire content. Not given to me. Somebody had called me and, see, I knew I saw chickens. Here. What's going on, YouTube fam? I know it's been a while. I'm just here to give you guys an update, where I'm at, what I've read as far as, the last couple of videos that you guys seen from where we left off. I did a really huge book haul. Never really recorded it because I was just in the moment of being filled with excitement. I'm gonna start off with this. So I wound up going and getting the Monstrous series. This is, I would say like a compendium. So this is the first one, and then this is the second one. As you see, I still have the plastic on it. This one here was a really good read as far as having character development, just the action and everything. It was just amazing. And again, it's a comic book with a map, so you can have an understanding where the characters go. That's my weakness. I love that. So the main character, Micah Halfwolf, she was enslaved in this camp where she was being drained of her arcanic energy, which is called Lilium or Liam, whatever. But she winds up escaping, and her friend Tuya, which happens to be this girl right here who's her best friend, she winds up leaving her behind but promising her that she's gonna go and find her again sometime in her life. She winds up living a life where, one, she's homeless and she really doesn't know who she is. She just remembers her mom being, sort of abusive to her, and she has that faint memory of like her feeling alone all the time, and that kind of drags along with her in the story. And she has this, I guess I call it a demon because it's really a douchebag. They're called gods, and in this realm they're like, obviously they're gonna be like the strongest thing, but he happens to be one of the original who can literally destroy worlds with his own power, and he winds up dwelling inside of her, and she activates his ability to escape from her conscience out of free will, and he can also leave her conscience. And it's just crazy, like at certain moments when she needs him, he's not there, and it's super stressful because now she has to fight these things, these dark lords and these rebels, and there's also a clan that's trying to kill her because of her mother. She's just trying to survive all of that, just everything in a bunch. And she winds up finding a piece of this mask, this ancient mask that belonged to the Empress of, I think it's the Empress of Arcane or something like along those lines. But she's the one who opened this world, or rather discovered this world of magic, and her mask was the key to destroying the gods, and she was the only one who was able to control this mask. But as time went by, when she died, it split into 3 big pieces, and Micah winds up finding one. Then her aunt, who was part of this clan that's trying to kill her, winds up finding one. And there's another piece hidden far off into the distance. Nobody really knows these people. They're just given this piece, and they hid it so well for like hundreds of years or whatever. They don't really explain how long, but it was a while. She's trying to find these pieces to put the mask together to find the Empress, who winds up being her grandmother, which is crazy. I bugged out. I went berserk. I couldn't understand what was the reason that she had this being inside of her, which is this god. His name is Zin. It winds up being that this god was instilled in her through her mother. So he finds out his past because he winds up getting like amnesia almost, and he faintly remembers who he was. But as she goes through this trek of finding, this mask, he winds up finding out about himself and his partner who he once had when he came to this world. And it's amazing. The story is amazing. Obviously you're gonna get your characters that you hate, and mine happen to be Ren, who is this cat from the Cat Clan. He does a lot of messed up things to them, and especially to Little Fox, who Micah winds up picking up as a teammate, which is weird because she's like 16, right? Little Fox is like 7 years old, 8 years old. What can a 7-year-old do for you? In a time like this where gods and freaking arcanics and magicians and this and that are all fighting each other. She winds up proving herself, and she's like the most adorable character in the book. Ren winds up being like a douchebag to Little Fox, and you just wind up hating him a little more and more. But then there's reasoning to being an asshole. Don't know how, but he has his reasons, and then he gets put into a corner. His back gets put into a corner, and now he's forced to do something. And then you wind up seeing his true colors and who he really is, and it winds up like flipping everything. You're like, wow, okay, all right, that's believable. That's more, sophisticated, and it's not sloppy. All in all, this book, I'd give it a 5-star. Really good. If you're looking for blood and gore, and look, I just pulled up to the page. That's Ren right there. Don't like him. Just if you're looking for a book with gore, and if you're into like dark fantasy, I wouldn't say high fantasy, but if you're into dark fantasy, like blood and gore, but there's also magic, and it's outworldly, something different, definitely this series. What I do gotta say about book 2, right? Book 2, you see Ren here, then you see Little Fox, and then you see Micah. And then this dude with this almond inverted eye, that's Zen. That's Zen in his, I guess, his human stature form. Like, he's not like a freaking dragon or anything. One, that's him in his full form. So you can see like he has 3 eyes, and he's much huge, like much bigger than, per se, this form. So I'm really stoked, and also the back, I really like this art. You could tell it's like a darker art style. This is Corvin, who worked with Micah's mother, and he's part of a clan that's trying to retrieve the mask also, and trying to set it away. But because she is related, or she has a mother who's done them dirt, they don't want her alive. But because he's worked with her mother, he wants her alive out of respect. So that's that. That's the Monstrous series. The next book is going to be In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune. Guys, I really enjoyed this book. I annotated some. Let me see if I skim through it, and you'll see. Yeah, you see the black post-its. Yeah, I annotated some, and it was so good that I stopped annotating, and I just kept reading and reading and reading. It's such an amazing book. The storyline, it was very heartfelt, very adventurous, very ambitious, Little kid with his father, quote unquote his father, but his father is a robot. His father tells him that he built him out of the laboratory in the basement or in the lower house. Come to reality, he didn't build him, in a sense, which is weird. Finds out the truth that he went to a blue angel, which is like a god in this book. He winded up holding a sperm cell and an egg in a special crystal and gave it to the kid's father, and he wound up being the last human alive. So that's very stressful because you're in hopes of finding another human, knowing that there's only robots in this world. You see signs of regret. He lives with, depression, but he overcomes that with inventing things. So he winds up inventing this vacuum with pinchers, like metal pinchers as hands. He winds up inventing a medical robot called Ratchet. Let's see. So the robot with the pinchers is named Rambo. They wind up being best friends. And also this book too is very it has a lot of adult humor. So like if you're younger, you might not understand some of the humor. You might be just there for the lore, but if you're older and you got more of an understanding of certain things, you'll really love this book. I really didn't want to finish this book. Like, I was dreading the end, but the end was so good that I just kept I don't think I've ever in my life have read a book so quickly the way I did with this one. And what I love is there's an art cover. Like, once you take off this cover shield, I know there's a name to it, but I call it a cover shield. This is where they live. This is the basement house, and the laboratories underneath. This is Rambo. He's the most oblivious robot in the world. But you learn to love him more and more with every chapter, because he was made with some type of innocence in him, and it's funny. He's so funny. He doesn't understand certain things, and then when Ratchet tells him something, he's like, "Oh my God, no, please." But then Ratchet, she's like, "Dude, I can't do that. I don't have the capabilities of doing that. Like, are you dumb? Like, are you dumb?" And it's just certain things, you just wind up loving about robots, which is weird because we're living in a day and age where now they're starting to develop more electronically in hopes of the future. I just hope it winds up ending up like this, where the robots have some type of character to them, like you hear them and you just don't think that that's a robot. You think it's a person, and it winds up being a robot. And reading this, you wind up loving the unforeseen future a little more. So now, the next series that I hold dear to me, I'm gonna start off with this one, and I don't know why I did this one first, because this is the ending. This was sad. So I wound up buying The Last Ronin. I saw a post. So this is how it started. I didn't know what the hell this was. I'm thinking it was a different Ninja Turtle and whatever, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's badass. He has his own story. Wind up seeing a post on Facebook, and I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. Then I start doing my research, and I start seeing the images of Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, their bandanas. And I'm like, there's no way. There is no freaking way. So I start sweating. I'm like, oh my God, this can't be. And guys, if you don't like spoilers, you might want to skip ahead. Winds up being Michelangelo, who is my favorite. He's number one. I have two favorites, but he's definitely number one. Winds up being him, and his brothers are dead, and they died the most heroic, except for one of them. One of them, I feel like he deserved to die that way because of who he is. It was this was really emotional for me, because I remember when I was younger, I had on VHS, yes, I'm that old, VHS, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 3, where they go back in time to feudal Japan, and that was my favorite movie of all time, being a kid. So this is the cover, which I find phenomenal. With the previous comics, some of the artists did that Like when it's in the eyes of the Mauser, which is this little robot that was created to kill or subdue the brothers so that this doctor can take their blood to recreate an army of whatever, but just imagine an army of Ninja Turtles. So then wind up picking up volumes 1 and volumes 2 of the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I wind up finishing this one early this morning as I'm recording this video. It was phenomenal. The way they started their history more in depth, it was more true to the story. You go and you watch the movies, they hint it, but they don't really explain everything. And, just reading these two, The Last Ronin and the first volume of the collection, it really opened up my nostalgic shelf, or chest rather. Got to relive a portion of my childhood by reading these comics and just really enjoying the works. If you really want to get into the Ninja Turtles, this definitely start off with this, the IDW collection, book 1. This is really where it's at. They also bring it back to the 80s where, they all had the red bandana and you really didn't know who was who until actually they started fighting. And you knew Donnie was the one with the bow, Leo was the katanas, Raph was the sais, and then Mikey was the nunchucks. And you just wind up being that, I'm older, as a remembrance. This was where it was at. You want heat? This is heat. You want stuff where the Turtles actually killed some of the Foot Clan, where in the movies and the shows they don't really show that because for kids. But this gets real dark. The Last Ronin gets freaking Look, you see that? I love this. There's a director's uncut version, I believe it's called. It's all white, and this is stenciled, so it's pencil drawn. It's not necessarily colored. It looks fire. It's fire. But this book, mayhem. When I tell you mayhem is everywhere from the first page. The first page of this book was what I had seen on Facebook that made me so devoted into getting this book. All the way to the end. Crazy. Oh, wait. I got something else. The Last Ronin Lost Day. And this is a one shot. This is not getting another book. This is just, here's a little side story. Enjoy. And this is the special edition, as you can see right there, special. So I got the white boarded with the classic style cover, so you can see Raph got his full face cover, which is old school. And then I remember seeing Mikey with the half face with the cutout when I was younger. But this is classic. Oh, and the video games. Oh my god. I remember going to my cousin's house, hooking up I believe it was the Super Nintendo, and we would just play the Turtles game. Oh my god. That sparked another memory in me where I fell in love with the story even more, because it just really brought back my childhood. I really wasn't much of a reader, I would just read Dr. Seuss books and stuff like that. Following a comic style read, this was where I was at. It was definitely the Ninja Turtles. But that just wraps everything up. My haul that I got, where I was at. I got a lot more actually. I'll probably put that in another video after this one. But I really want to thank you guys for coming back. I know it's been a really long hiatus that I took. I was trying to keep up to date on my Instagram. If you're not following me, do follow. I'll put it in the description below, but it's _the ghetto librarian _ I know I took a couple months off, but I was still doing my thing, balance within everything. I'm slowly getting back into, you know, what I love, which is bringing content to you guys and updating you on what's genuine fire content that I know you'll love. Also, if you guys want to keep updated with certain things, you know, that you can't find on the Instagram page or whatever, I went to my local comic store, Galaxy Comics in Park Slope, New York. They hook me up all the time. They always, you know, tell me what's new, what's hot. My boy Brian, shout out to Brian, he's always putting me onto heat and what's good. You know, I grew up with him, so he knows like what I like, you know, what I could be expecting to like, you know, so he knows me well. Again, shout out to Brian, you know, much love. Previews. Previews is basically your magazine where what's gonna come out on this day and month for manga, for independent publishers, for just everything on a monthly basis, like what you should be expecting. They got the Marvel version of the previews, which is fire, because if anyone knows me and knows me well, and I mean like it's pretty freaking obvious. Look, I gotta find the pages because this is phenomenal. Okay. Star Wars. Dude, Star Wars. Okay? High Republic, Thrawn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, The Mandalorian, and my guy, Darth Vader, which the series I believe started in 2020. Dude, come on, man. Come on. This is where it's at, bro. This is where it's at. You want fire, this is where you go. You go to Park Slope in New York, go to Galaxy Comics, and I'm telling you, talk to Brian, and he's gonna put you on. Fire. Dude, come on. Lilo and Stitch comic, you know I'm definitely copping that. As we come to the end, I really do want to thank you guys yet again. I really do hope in the near future I'll be coming out with a video soon. Probably gonna do it once I finish the Monstrous book 2. Definitely do that. Yeah, man, I'm just gonna be bringing heat. Just stay updated, stay in the know with what's hot and what's not. And we only do hot because that's all we are. And I really hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.